Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody here live and on the recording. I am Kara Bradley, and I'm excited to bring you this June community call. Many of you know me from TikTok. We jump on together, perhaps during lives. I'm working closely with many of you as well that have jumped on to a gut brain protocol or perhaps into my 29-day morning messages. But I like to come on once a month at least to be able to have a real conversation. When I'm on those lives and the comments are flying by, it's very one-sided, and I don't want to live in a one-sided world, I'll tell you that. So what I love about these community calls is that we get to have a conversation. You get to ask questions. I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro here, and then what I will be doing throughout, and I encourage you, if you're just on the recording as well, to pause and answer these questions in your mind, because this is what's going to help to spark some ideas about what you may need to be doing or add to your self-care practices, your healthcare practices. So we're going to be talking about three things today, or actually specifically two things: the symptoms of menopause brain fog and some solutions. And I want to get to a full list of daily practices that I don't often get to in the lives that I do. The lives go by really quickly and there's a lot of questions. I tend to stay in a pretty narrow lane. But today I want to really go through some of the practices that you may or may not be doing yet and how to improve upon them. So let's get started. So just a quick intro about me. You may know a little bit, you may not, but I think it's important to share that professionally, I have been in the body-mind space since I was 15 years old. And that was a long time ago. It was almost 40 years ago. No, it was over 40 years ago. Okay, we've got a couple more people jumping on. Great. If you want to hide your video for the first 10, 15 minutes, you're welcome to do that. I am going to be asking you lots of questions on the chat, so asking you to be active there. So just a little bit, let me just open up my chat here. Sometimes I can't find it. Okay. Some of the, like I said before, I've been teaching for over 40 years, body-mind practices, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that. I started teaching when I was 15 years old. I was a figure skater who needed to pay for her skating. And so I started teaching adults. And from there, it led into teaching aerobics of every single kind known to man. I've taught it all. To strength training, I became a certified strength coach, in addition to a certified aerobics teacher and professional skater. But then it went on to, I dove deeper into some of these ancient practices. I learned yoga and learned how to teach yoga and opened a yoga studio, which I ran for 16 years, and also became certified as a meditation teacher and started to teach meditation as well. I then went on to start to teach a lot of body-mind practices that were a little more subtle, like nervous system regulation and breath training and flow state training, and all of these different ways that our body and minds communicate. I've always been super, super interested in understanding human potential. Yeah, I do love to work. So I am very, very passionate about helping people and helping myself really feel our best in this lifetime. I just feel like we've got, this life experience that can be so rewarding, and we can really share such genius with the world because we all have that genius. However, we get stuck. And so I tell you a little bit about my background because I got stuck and I didn't realize how stuck I was. I got stuck in menopause brain fog, and I couldn't tell you that I was there during that time. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I look back and I even reread some of my journals and I think, wow, like I was really down, and I really felt very flat. And if you are feeling like you are flat, or you have kind of a gut feeling, if you will, that you're experiencing some menopause brain fog, go ahead and put it in the comments. Wait, let me just see what I did here. I'm trying to just get to speaker view. Okay, I'm going to go back to gallery. No worries. So I'm going to be talking about the symptoms of menopause brain fog in a moment, and we're really going to get into a conversation here. This is going to be very interactive. But first, I want to just explore a little bit about the reason why I tell you about my history is because I had all the tools necessary to know better, right? I had the tools necessary to get myself going, to motivate myself. I mean, I've been a motivator my whole career, yet I couldn't get there. I just felt like I kept going further and further and further underwater. And you know that feeling when you're underwater. It feels like, the world is kind of blurry and you can't really hear well. And things kind of feel like they're very slow or warped, if you will. And that's how I felt. And it wasn't until I learned about the gut brain connection. And again, I've been studying this body mind connection my whole life. And it was when I learned about this gut brain connection, I realized, oh my gosh, there's something here, not only for me, but for all the people that I've been teaching and coaching my whole career. And so I went into a deep dive and I did find the protocol that I will explore a little bit more and that some of you are on, which is called Happy Juice, which is a gut brain protocol to help us boost our mood, our motivation, and our memory. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So let's get started more with some of the interactive aspect of this. So if you would, and if you can, go ahead and put yourself on video just so I can see your lovely faces. It's always so much more fun to do this together than me just talking to a screen. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. So, can you pronounce your name? Is it Sauda? Is that correct?
Sauda, but you can call me Sue.
Sue? Okay. Okay, Sue. That's a beautiful name. Can you say that
Thank
again, your full name?
Sauda Aziz. It's an
Sa-
Arabic
Sa-
name.
Sauda. Sauda. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sue. So let's talk a little bit about the brain on menopause. And you may have heard me talk about this before. But I think like every time I say it, it awakens something in me that it's amazing we don't know this as women. Like this continues to blow my mind, literally. Our brains are changing during this perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause cycle. And our brains are changing so much that we are put out at risk for early onset dementia and Alzheimer's as women, much more so than men. Why? Why are we at risk more? Because of estrogen levels. And estrogen is known as our memory molecule. And our brain has many, many, many estrogen receptors waiting for estrogen to function, to do things, to remember things, to speak clearly, to read, to focus. And when our estrogen levels start to drop, which they will for every single one of us, we will have what is called these brain misconnects. And these brain misconnects can happen to us in our late 30s and early 40s. And so there's a lot of women in there just around 40 that start to feel like they're losing their mind. There's a lot of women just around 40 that start to question, do I have anxiety disorder? Am I clinically depressed? Do I have ADHD? A lot of us start questioning our lives around 40. Dr. Lisa Mosconi, who is a brain researcher, who thankfully is one of these women that's studying women's brains on menopause, she said that women's brains will start to change and feel the effects of changes in estrogen and other hormones 5 years before we ever feel any of the physical symptoms. So 5 years before the hot flash or the night sweats or the belly fat gain or any of that, our brains are changing. Okay, so this is really important. So what does that feel like? And this is where I would love to hear from you. So Sue says, not too foggy. I'm an educator, special ed. God bless you. We need you, but I see others having some trouble with memory and staying on task. Absolutely. Foggy. Yes, exactly. Okay. So let's talk specifics here, because I think that when we have a little more knowledge of what we may be feeling, it turns on light bulbs, literally. Okay. So these are some of the symptoms that are caused due to these changes in estrogen levels. Even if you're on hormone replacement therapy, we're never going to have as much estrogen as we did. But this is the work of Dr. Claire Warga. She wrote a book in 1999 called Menopause in the Mind. It's a heavy read, let me tell you, but I got so much out of it. I'm going to share some of the highlights. So she came up with something called the Warga's hormonal misconnection syndrome, right? It's basically her way of saying these are the changes and the symptoms that we may be feeling due to changes in estrogen. All right, so I'm just going to read off a bunch. If any of them spark anything in you, will you just repeat it in the comments? Because it'll be interesting to see how many of these you've experienced. So there are thinking changes. Thinking changes include loss of train of thought. That would be me. Forgetting what you came in the room for. Like you walk into the kitchen and you forget what was I just doing? I find that I do that on digital all the time. Lack of focus, foggy, hazy. We already have that. A thought blockade where it's hard to pull ideas out of your head. Trouble prioritizing. I have that issue as well. I have to write everything down. Speech changes, such as naming difficulties, loss for words, reversing words when speaking, relying on filler words like, whatchamacallit, also inability to organize sentences. So these are serious misconnects. Also, we have changes in our attention, including a listening, but not really. You know how you do that, like with your partner or your kids, it's like, I'm not really listening. Blanking on what you just did and being distracted. Okay, then we have some behavioral changes, and that includes unintended slips. I have a couple of things here, like being absent-minded, feeling scattered, dropping things, spatial skills changes, not remembering faces, spelling issues, forgetting people's names, and then time issues. I'm almost done. Time issues like forgetting appointments, which, my gosh, if I didn't have Google Calendar, I'd be in trouble. Also, finally, our memory changes. And the memory changes can include forgetting what you just did, missing links, can't spell, changes in memory, inability to speak clearly, forgetting content of things that you've read or seen. All right, so this is her research. And then just quickly, there are a few other symptoms, and not to paint a terrible picture here, but knowledge is power, right? And awareness is key. It puts us in the driver's seat for now advocating for ourselves. Okay, so a couple of other things, and I have this on, actually, I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Let me get out. I'm going to share this. Oops, it's not sharing. Share this. I don't know why it's not sharing. I probably have to stop. Okay. Let's not worry about that right now. So this is the menopause brain fog symptoms checklist. You may have gotten that if you are on my mail list. And if you haven't, you'll all be just put immediately on my resources list after this. And this includes, and this is what's important about this checklist, my friends, is that you print it out and you start to notice what's happening throughout the day. And after a week, you can see how many checks you've got. Because if there are a lot, then you may want to talk to your healthcare provider. I mean, like I said before, we're at higher risk for early onset dementia. We want to make sure that something serious isn't happening here. So let me just go through these and I'm going to read your comments. Can't concentrate, feel confused, feel forgetful, have trouble speaking, feel mentally tired, foggy, can't think clearly, feel insecure, feel sad, have no motivation, feel anxious, and feel scattered. One that I don't have on here is irritable. Okay, so now we've got all the symptoms and there's probably more. Let's just see what we have here. Maria, so good to have you here. Most definitely all of me, I think I'm going crazy. Yeah, inability to process, hello, Lana, what others are saying. Yeah, so these are brain misconnects. All right. Anybody else have anything? And you can unmute yourself. Feel free to do that as well. This is what this platform is for. It's not just for me to talk. I really definitely want to hear from you. Is there anything else that you'd like to describe about how you're feeling? I know that, and you can just interrupt me anytime. A lot of women feel like they're losing their mind. And that's how I felt for 4 years. I felt like I was just changing so fast. I didn't recognize myself. I didn't recognize the insecurity that I was feeling. And I know a lot of women feel that. And finally, the big one for me was just feeling so alone in it all. I didn't know what was going on. So big one, can't sleep, always tired, miss my old self, irritable for no reason, feeling of craziness. Yes. So, once you recognize that brain fog, and we're going to get into why we have brain fog in a moment, but a lot of people have brain fog, kids, teens, men, right? You don't have to be in menopause to have brain fog. But then you blanket that with these hormonal changes, and we have what's really a perfect storm. And what breaks my heart, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I've really pivoted my career to focus on you all, women like me that are going through this, is because I feel like there are too many of us that are being taken out of our game, that are being taken out of our lives, our livelihood, that just feel unimportant or dismissed or invisible. I felt like I was fading away, which makes me want to cry because I'm not fading and neither are you. So it's really important to understand, and we can do something about it. And so now we're going to turn over to our solutions. And the solutions that we're going to talk about specifically are gut-brain health, exercising smarter, and sleeping better. So Lana, we're going to get to you. Let me just get my notes out here. Make sure I've got, and please put any questions you have right there into the chat. I'm going to see if I can share my screen again. I was having trouble before.
You did share it before I saw the page.
You saw something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
You're seeing the menopause naturally?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to share. Oh, okay. It must all just be behind one another. All right, here we go. Okay, so here is that menopause symptoms checklist that I was talking about before. And if you don't have this, you will get it. It might just be back in one of the emails that I've sent to you. And we're going to go through sleep routine in a moment. Okay, so let's talk for a moment about brain fog in general and how it happens. What is brain fog? Brain fog is a list of all of those symptoms that I just explored with you. And generally, it happens for a couple of reasons. We know now that our hormones are playing a big part, right? So we can have that bucket out, right? That's a for sure. But then there's also some other issues. One is poor sleep, one is poor gut health, and another one is inflammation. So just to give you a little bit of an education here on the gut brain connection and why it's so important. And you may have heard me talk about this on lives. Our gut health is now known in Western science, although the ancients have known this for a long time, that our gut health is like the motherboard for the rest of our health, including our mental health. And when our gut health is off and imbalanced, and we'll talk about why and how, what happens is that we have excess inflammation. And excess inflammation, I'll take out my handy snow globe, feels like this in our brain. Okay, inflammation feels like static to our brain because our gut and our brain communicate through the immune system. And if the immune system is staticky, so is the information getting to our brain. So some of those misconnects and the fogginess, the sadness, the mood swings can also be due to inflammation. We're going to talk about how to reduce inflammation. The second reason why we develop brain fog is poor sleep. And sleep, is so important for body recovery and brain recovery that if we're not sleeping well, we will have brain fog. Period. End of story. So we're going to dive into those sleep routines in a moment as well. And then finally, there is just food, right? When we eat poorly, when we are eating too much sugar or processed foods or toxins or bad fats, it disrupts our gut health. And that delicate gut ecology will throw off the communication between the gut and the brain. So if you have questions about any of this, throw it in the chat, please. And I want to make sure that I leave our last 10 minutes for just discussion, okay? So how do we heal the gut, the brain, and the gut-brain axis, right? First is food first. And the most widely researched nutritional plan is the Mediterranean diet. Okay, I have an excellent book for you. It's under my computer. I lifted my computer, called Mental Fitness by Dr. Sean Talbot. Sorry, guys. And he has something called the Mental Fitness Diet, which is really based on the Mediterranean diet, but it is specifically for gut health and gut brain health. So it's a fantastic read. And I can share that with you if you forget. So first is food. When our food is clean and we are mostly plants and it's a diversity of plants and vegetables, our gut health is going to flourish. When our gut health flourishes, it's going to decrease the inflammation in our body, and it will also help to improve stress resiliency. Those are the two superhighways between our gut and our brain, is the immune system and the nervous system. And then just our brain is going to naturally start to function better. Okay. So gut brain health is so important. And as many of you know, I do talk quite a bit, and you've probably all heard me talk about Happy Juice. Happy Juice is the gut brain protocol that helps to improve gut integrity, or the good bacteria in your gut, by 70%. It helps to decrease inflammation, one of those superhighway channels between gut and brain. It also helps to improve stress resiliency by decreasing cortisol levels. So over time, you will feel less wired and tired, which so many of us do. And then finally, it helps to boost mood by improving the serotonin in your gut. So I'm not going to go into huge detail on the Happy Juice. I know a lot of you have learned about it from me. You can always learn more about it from my my links, and I'll just make sure that I throw a link in the comments here. But I want to get to some of the things that I don't often really dive into, and that is sleep. Let's go to sleep, especially for Lana here, who's struggling with her sleep. So again, if you have received my resources, you most likely have seen this sleep routine of mine. And what I'd love to hear from you all is how many of these are you doing? If you're doing, just throw it in the chat. So let's go to the PM sleep routines first. So you want to go to bed around the same time every night, because that's going to help the circadian rhythms, which helps your melatonin and serotonin production, your waking hormone, serotonin, and your sleepy hormone, melatonin. We want to produce it ourselves instead of taking it. We want to turn, and everything on this list is helping to promote the production of melatonin, turning down bright lights 2 hours before bedtime, powering down computer, putting do not disturbs on your devices. This is huge for, I believe, for us menopausal women.
Kara,
Yes.
we're seeing no more brain.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't want you to get too far into it.
I don't know what is going on with my Zoom today. Let's see. Oh, you're seeing just the eat clean, mostly plants?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me see if I can close that out. And goodness gracious, I don't know what's going on. Thank you. Do you see it now? No?
Nope, still you.
Just me. Okay. I might have to nix the sharing. Wait, I think this is it. How about now?
Suggested PM routines.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so these two I think are super, super important for menopausal women. I have found with night sweats that if I do this, I don't get night sweats. If I don't do it, I get night sweats. Eating dinner early, as early as possible, and light on the dinner. If I eat a heavy dinner too late, I end up having night sweats. It's the same with alcohol. I mean, I never drink caffeine after 11. From what I understand, it takes 12 hours for caffeine to really be processed. So think about when you're taking caffeine. Alcohol, if I have that wine late at night, I'm going to have night sweats. I don't know. Has anybody else experienced that as a yes or a no? You can let us know in the chat or just unmute yourself is fine too.
I've had the night sweats, but haven't been able to figure out why.
Okay. And so you may want to look at these two,
Okay.
dinner and alcohol, and also as well as wearing blue blockers. I have blue blockers here because blue blockers, and these are reading glasses, I got them on Amazon, but they're also blue blockers. They will help your body produce melatonin naturally. Drinking calming teas, stretching, a night walk, very gentle, baths, reading a book for sure, and making your bedroom dark and cold. This will help give you as much of a boost as needed. Now, there are a couple of other things here. I have, I take omega-3s at night because they're helpful for sleep. I also take a sleep supplement called Sleep Plus that I'm happy to share more info on. It is a natural plant that helps your body produce its own melatonin. I also take my magnesium at night. That also helps with to help your nervous system. Okay, so those are a couple of the sleep routines that I think are very, very necessary for for at least getting enough of the deep sleep so you're waking up without brain fog. Okay, because we can do all the things in the world, but if we're not sleeping, we're gonna have brain fog. So I want to do one more thing before I open this up for questions. I'm going to go back to that document that I had just shared. Let's see if I can get it up again. No, I'll have to pull up another document. Hold on. Okay. Do you see this? No, that's the symptoms checklist. This is so weird. I've got a really wonky system today. All right, I can't even find it. I would love to know from you all, like what would be, and let's open this up for discussion now. So I'm going to ask you all, feel free to unmute. What is the biggest thing that you are feeling you're struggling with when it comes to menopause brain fog? Can you describe one thing that you're feeling? Because oftentimes it's hard. It's hard to pinpoint. Does anybody know?
Yes, for me and the work life, I'm on summer break, not teaching this summer, but it's just all the stuff that's piled on you, and I get a little anxiety because I don't know. Everything is a priority for me. So it's almost like I can't move sometimes and finish the task because there's other tasks waiting, things like that. And I also forget names. I've been forgetting my own children's name since they were born, but I can look right in their face and call somebody something else. So I've been doing that for a long time and still don't understand. I guess that's part of the brain fog, right?
Yes, it's actually, and thank you for sharing that, Sue. It's part of those misconnects, but we can improve them. We can improve and support our brain naturally through exercise, sleep, food, and supplementation. That's really how we can give our brain a fighting chance of overcoming the loss of estrogen to our brain. We have to almost really supplement everything else we're doing to support our brain so that we don't start to carve these grooves, these neural grooves, these neural patterns that will take us into feeling really, really old. And so I just want to address the prioritizing. And if you picture a whiteboard, I've been talking about this for all the years that I've taught meditation. You think of a whiteboard, or maybe a lot of us remember blackboards in school, right? I don't know. Do they have them anymore, Sue? But if you think of a whiteboard with loads and loads of information on it, so much so that you can't even see, anything, because it just looks like a big wow. Chaos of information. This is what it feels like in our brain when we are overthinking, when we can't prioritize, when we feel like the world is just barraging our minds. And there are things that we can do. I find that, first of all, list making helps me to prioritize. So we can do it from the top down and the bottom up. The top down would be, what kind of executive tools can you use to keep your mind in order through the day, right? And I'm sure that you have a lot of these, Sue, yourself. But that doesn't mean that our body isn't going to continue to create the chaos in the mind, right? So if you go back to the snow globe, when we are highly inflamed, when we have chronic stress, when our gut is unhealthy, when we're not sleeping, we're going to feel like this. And this feels like stress. And I think it's what you're experiencing, Sue. It feels like chaos in the brain where you can't even make sense of anything. So from the top down, there's meditation, there's list making, there's practicing prioritizing, making it a habit. From the bottom up, from the body up, it comes back to really focusing on gut health and focusing on gut brain health, right? So this one of the powders in the happy juice, the mentobiotics, helps to reduce cortisol levels and increase stress resiliency. So what happens is that our vagus nerve which is our wandering nerve, our biggest nerve in our body, goes it starts in our cervical spine, goes into our face, through our throat, around our lungs and heart, and down into our gut. So anytime we're feeling chronically stressed, it's going to affect all these systems. And that's why I like to focus on the gut health first. Good food, less stress, less pharma, and less toxins will help your gut integrity. So, what you're describing is not unusual. And I can't remember, are you on a gut brain protocol, or what are you taking as far as supplementation? Are you taking anything additional?
Yes, I take supplements. I'm actually a vegan, so I really don't have a lot of gut issues.
Mhm.
I drink plenty of water. I don't have problems sleeping most of the time. It's just that, sometimes I'm irritable. I go from hot to cold all the time. That's I sleep with air and the fan.
Yeah.
So if I keep myself in those cold conditions, I'm fine. But doing the other hot stuff I have a lot of irritability and stress. I think those are the three things that I'm concerned about.
Yeah. One thing you may want to consider trying is ashwagandha, or an ashwagandha
I
blend.
have that.
Yeah.
Yes, I took that last night. This is a new supplement that I was introduced to, and
Oh,
that is
good.
doing a good job with just the calming
Yes.
tea.
Yes.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. And, you being a vegan, I'm sure you get a lot of diversity of plants and vegetables. We want to eat at least 30. I mean, they say at least 30 a week, and that includes onions and garlic and spices, but that's going to feed our gut microbiome and all the good bacteria in there enough to be able to produce all of the feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin for good mood, for stable mood, like dopamine for motivation if you feel like you're lacking motivation. So, the gut, when we can get the gut right, it starts to click up the body. And I think for us women in menopause, it's essential. Like, we can't ignore the gut because we're kind of swimming upstream, right? Or trying to row upstream without a paddle with the lower levels of estrogen. So we really need to highlight our gut health. So that's great questions. And I hope that I was a little bit helpful in my answers. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else? You could just unmute yourself as well. Something that you're really feeling. Lana says her daughter came in with an issue. Everything is a snowball effect. It's difficult to keep track of it, all that needs to be done. Yeah, I mean, we're carrying a lot, ladies. We're carrying a lot, and then menopause comes on top of it. And this is where I see so many of us just getting pulled out of our game. And I certainly experienced that. So
I just unmuted myself.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, my daughter came in. She goes, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "It's okay, it's okay." I was rolling my eyes at her. But she's 27. Anyway, so yeah, for me, I feel like I'm going through all the issues that all of these ladies are going through. But what I'm struggling with is I know exercise is key for me, but when I'm not sleeping at night, I have zero motivation, and that is like a big deal for me. And I feel like I have tried everything, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. It's not consistent. Like last night I got good sleep, and I've been tracking, I think on the 29th and the 30th of last month I got good sleep, and then I just don't sleep. And it's just I feel like that is like a trigger for everything to go downhill, because I don't have, if I don't sleep, I don't want to eat right. I don't want to exercise, and those are key, and so it's just that's what I mean by snowball. It's just like if I don't get sleep, that's what happens. Everything just goes to the wayside.
Absolutely. And Lana, when you say that you track, are you wearing an Oura ring or a Whoop or something?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. A couple of things. Do you get night sweats?
I do.
Okay. So, I forgot to mention this as well, Sue. A few months ago, no, about a year and a half ago, I invested in something called the BedJet, BEDJET. And I'm not affiliated with the company at all, but it was a life changer. It was a couple of $100, but I decided that I needed to sleep because I was having such bad night sweats. It's like a little air conditioner it goes in between the sheets. It's like a double top sheet, and the cooling. And I find there's a cool setting and there's also a dry setting. And I found that cool and dry, like throughout the night, just allowed me to sleep longer and not wake up so sweaty. And then in addition to that, I went through that sleep routine is really focusing on the last time eating early, not drinking, and making sure I'm hydrated, like all the things to protect my sleep as much as possible. Also, one thing you may want to notice as well is what type of TV you watch. Is it something that's amping up your system? You may not even realize how it is just getting your heart rate up. And right. So to protect yourself from the world, basically, because there's mostly negative, ugly stuff on TV anyway. I mean, let's just have Ted Lasso every single night and we'll all be happy. So that's something to watch as well. The other thing is supplementation at night. I'm not a proponent of taking melatonin. Our body makes its own melatonin, and I find that it makes most people groggy that I've talked to. But there are natural things like magnesium glycinate. I'll send you the link, Alana, and any of you who are interested. That is an excellent magnesium to take at night. It helps with the nervous system, and we need to be taking magnesium anyway. Omega-3 at night, and I take the Sleep Plus as well. And those are the 3 products I take at night to help with sleep, in addition to chamomile. And, it's just, we have to be that diligent because like, Lana, if you're not sleeping, you wake up, your brain has what's called the glymphatic system. The glymphatic system is what steam cleans your brain from the debris of the day. And if we don't get enough deep sleep is when the glymphatic system comes online. We wake up with brain fog. I mean, it. You're like, oh, it's going to be one of those days. So really happy to support you on getting that good sleep. And I hope that some of these suggestions are helpful.
Yeah, I'll try the melatonin. I've tried a different, I don't know what kind of melatonin it was.
No, not the melatonin.
Oh, not the melatonin. I'm sorry, the magnesium.
Magnesium, yeah.
Magnesium.
Yeah.
I have tried that in the past as well, but I know there's different kinds, so I'm definitely willing to try that as well.
Yeah. I'll text you a couple of ideas on that. Okay. Because, even if you just try it, I mean, magnesium, from what I'm understanding, is just one of those like non-negotiables these days, that and omega-3. So, and I've got good sources for both.
Okay.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share what's going on with you? In the next few minutes, we'll wrap this up. It's so wonderful for me to be able to see you and talk to you. I get on live every day on TikTok. I do a lot of texting with women that I support that are on the Happy Juice and other programs. And it's always just so nice to have a real life conversation. So I appreciate you all. Do you have any other questions for me before we wrap this up?
I have yet to do the reboot.
Okay.
It's been sitting here on my desk and it's like,
okay.
I'm going through this. I'm trying to eat right. And it's so hard with my family. And my husband's a foodie. And it's a constant conversation. I'm like, I need to not eat this. I need to have this. I can't have that, you know? And I mean, he's just a foodie, and he works with me, but it's like, I feel like I'm a broken record to him all the time.
Mm,
And when
Yeah.
I'm too tired to cook and he's cooking, it's like, I don't know what to do.
yeah, the reboot, and what she's talking about is this 3-day cleanse that comes along with the happy juice. And it's really a beautiful way to reset your microbiome. And you're you're just not eating processed or complex carbs or meat for 3 days. So that wouldn't be a problem for Sue at all. She probably lives in a rebooted state as a vegan. When the timing's right, Lana, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
stress about it. I do it once a quarter when it just feels like, all right, I got 3 days. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Can you recommend a good Mediterranean cookbook that has, non-complex meals to make?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Does anybody have a recommendation? Right now I am reading The Galveston Diet by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. She's big on TikTok. She's got a bunch of seemingly very simple, and she promotes the Mediterranean diet as well. There aren't a ton of recipes though. One book actually that I think is excellent is called Fiber Fueled by Dr. Will B. His last name is hard to pronounce, but if you just look up Fiber Fueled, and that is another Mediterranean gut friendly cookbook that is very much worth the read. That's
Okay.
I also will suggest Whole30. Okay.
Whole30.
It's just Whole30, and you'll look it up, but it gives you things to eliminate for 30 days. I've tried this maybe 90 days, still being a vegan, and I'm, eliminating things, and then it has recipes. That was the best recipe book and diet book that I've followed.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
you.
excellent. Yeah, I did Whole30 a while ago, but that's good. I'm going to revisit that for sure. And I just want to, one more question. Maria is saying, I don't have desire for sex at all. The low libido is real. It's not really in my wheelhouse as far as understanding why. I do know that vaginal dryness has a big part of why our libido drops. In fact, I was just at my gynecologist yesterday, and am going to start on I think it's called the E string, just to help with moisture, and that, I guess, helps with sex not being so painful and helps with libido. But other than that, Maria, listen, I'm with you. And if you come up with any solutions, you've got to reach out to me. So it's just, it's unfortunate that there are so many things that hit us all at once as women. And, if I feel like if we can get our brains right, at least working better, we then go down these other rabbit holes and start to see, what can I do for this? And what can I do for this? And how can I sleep better? And this is what I found myself to be true. So. All right, everyone. Listen, I am so grateful that you all showed up today. Like I said, I like to do these monthly calls just because I feel like it's just me talking to a phone a lot. And if I could be of any more help on any of the things, let me just throw my link in. I'm sure you've probably all seen it, but just in case you want to, and I will also share with you all, I'll do a follow-up email. I will share with you all the magnesium, the omega that I take, the bed jet, and the mental fitness book, and information on the happy juice, of course, is in the Stan Store link as well. And one other thing is, if you're looking for just some motivation, I did recently create a 29-day plan. It's called Morning Messages. It's there on that Stan Store. and it's $19. I wanted to price it well. And it includes daily motivation with short audios that I have recorded over the years with mindset shifts, and then also a daily practice of the day that you may not be doing, a way to really up level your daily practices, instead of just exercising smarter. Instead of just eating, really understanding how to eat for your gut. So you can jump on that. And I just look forward to staying in touch with you all and being of support however I can. So thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
You all have a great day. Take
You
care.
too.
Bye.
Bye.